Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online series 10 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. In the last episode, we used a really fun Palkia team, so we'll be playing a couple more matches with it today, and yeah, details are in the description below, including a rental and a team report in Japanese. Thanks once again to the original creator for the team, and you can find them on Twitter, and yeah, thanks to you all as always for watching Road to Ranked. So it's a Calyrex Shadow Rider team for the first game. They don't have a Psychic Terrain user. That Ditto is honestly going to be a huge issue. I honestly think Ditto is one of the best Pokemon in the format. You've seen me use it in some of the previous teams we featured. It's just so fun. Generally getting Trick Room up here is good, but I don't know. Ditto always just adds like a complete unknown variable to the game, which is scary. I think I'm willing to go with NDD plus Stack here. Actually, I'd rather go Palkia. It's bulkier than Stack relative to Calyrex Shadow Rider. Oh, but if I lead this, they can just go like Moltres. Moltres plus Calyrex would be a super good lead by them. Okay, so I need to have something that potentially can punish it even if they lead that. I guess it's a Rillaboom switch in. But does that mean I don't bring Stack? I'm going NDD Palkia, but there is a fair amount that can go wrong here because Life Orb Astral Barrage plus Fiery Wrath from Moltres maybe is enough to knock out Palkia. That's pretty scary, so I think I'll shake up. But either way, thanks so much as always for watching Road to Ranked. If you enjoyed, please show support by leaving a like. I'd really appreciate it. And question of the day, I want to know what your favorite fruit is down in the comment section below. It's actually going to be Zapdos and Galarian Moltres. I'm not sure I've ever seen both of those on the field from the opposing side at the same time, so that's honestly really cool. I want to conserve Indeedee, because Indeedee and Incin are actually our best answers to beat that Calyrex Shadow Rider. So I think here I'm going to just Trick Room and then pivot this out into Stack Attacka. Even if you Fire Wrath and Thunderbolt, I should survive on either Pokemon. Nice lead by them, though. NDD plus Stack would have been nicer as a lead for us here, but I think I had to respect the Calyrex as a lead from their end. So they're just going to launch T-Bolt into Palkia. That's fine. Palkia is plenty bulky here. Just nervous about a flinch from Fiery Wrath. That'd be really bad. That looks like Specs damage. Oh, no, that's a crit. That's why. Okay, we don't flinch, though, so that's good at least. I do have the opportunity to substitute right now, which is pretty interesting. I could also see them trying to switch into Ditto. We should survive a Fiery Wrath. I just don't know the item on Moltres, I guess, is part of the issue. Spatial Ren and Rock Slide is really safe right now. Man, there's just a chance that they switch out into either slot into Ditto. Yeah, I almost want a Hydro and Rock Slide here, because it covers for a Ditto switch. Okay, they don't switch either, but that's fine. It's just now a little bit more nerve-wracking, because Hydro Pump's obviously more inaccurate in this position. Yeah, we activated Berserk as a result, which I'm okay with. Okay, Palkia's Clutch hits this Hydro, so that's good at least. Smart of them to not just like, yeah. Oh, that survives? They're AV. Wow. Yep, they're AV. Oh my goodness. That is such impressive bulk. I should have thought about that a little bit more. It's still winnable with Incin and NDD here because their team isn't very good into Trick Room, but that is going to make this a lot harder now, I think. What can I do here? Assuming they have Ditto. If they have Ditto, actually, they just win because you just swap Zapdos out and copy me. But I'm just going to Shadow Ball Moltres here and Flare Blitz. Sorry, Fake Out. We can Fake Out despite Psychic Terrain being up because Zapdos is not grounded here. But yeah, I mean, if Moltres gets KO'd there, it's a completely different game. That is really impressive bulk. I didn't think there was any chance it would survive even with an AV, to be honest. So, that's the power of Moltres. Not bad. Very impressive. And activating Berserk just made things even more awkward. They actually switch Moltres out. Yeah. Although they switched into Indeedee there. I feel like you should just switch into Incin. Like, if I expanding Force Darkest Lariat at that slot... Oh, I guess I can actually still make the same play, right? That's really interesting. I'll take it, I guess. I mean, this thing does no damage to me, truthfully. So I'm down to just Throat Chop the Zapdos and Expanding Force the Zapdos here. At best, you break my Focus Sash on Indeedee. You know, I can see them protecting as well. I'm just a little bit frustrated because I feel like I was behind in this game. And so, like, if I had actually just, like, nailed the Ditto Switch in this turn, rather than trying to predict it last turn, we would have just knocked out the Indeedee with an Expanding Force plus Darkest Lariat combo. Especially because we knew Moltres couldn't protect in that position. Then you have to bring out either Moltres, which just faints immediately, or Calyrex. And Calyrex would be brought out with multiple turns of Trick Room remaining. They do go for Protect on Indeedee, though, so that's actually exactly what we want to see here. Just curious about the item on it. You would think Focus Sash if they're trying to protect there. Okay, either way, this is actually still definitely winnable. Nice, we get the knockout on his Zapdos. That's good. I would think you bring out Moltres, right? If you bring out Moltres, though, I could protect my Indeedee. It is the last turn of Trick Room, unfortunately, and I don't have, like, if I had Snarl here, oh, it would be so good. But I don't. The play I want to make here is to actually just Throat Chop this and protect Indeedee. Like, I could see them going for Expanding Force and Fiery Rat to try to KO Indeedee. Could also, the correct play is also potentially to switch Ditto out, but it's incredibly risky for them. They should just switch out here, though, honestly. I'm going to make the read that they don't. Okay, they don't. That's good. This game just got really interesting. Yeah, they just go for Follow Me, but that's fine, because you're going to go for Fiery Wrath with Moltres. We get Throat Chop off. Are you Focus Sashed? Oh, actually, it's just bulky enough to survive. Yeah, and they just Fiery Wrath. Well, I guess the problem now is the speed tie between the Indeedees. That actually might be just what this comes down to. I could also try to go for a double protect with my Indeedee. Throat Chop into Moltres is always the right play. I mean, if you win a speed tie, they're going to Fiery Wrath, but I don't even think Fiery Wrath plus an attack from them KO, so I'm actually down to just Expanding Force here. No, it's actually to Shadow Ball Indeedee because they switch out Indeedee. Oh, they didn't switch out. Okay. They should be switching. I feel like all they needed to do to win this game was to copy my Incineroar. And we win the speed tie. That's huge. Yeah, I feel like if you just copy Incin, you win the game. Because, like, I can't deal damage to Incin at that point in the match. But I'll take it. I mean, this gives us a window of opportunity to win now. If their last one's Calyrex Shadow Rider, obviously we can just one-shot. I still don't know the item on the Ditto, but it obviously wasn't Choice Scarfed. It wasn't buried. So, Quick Claw. Oh. Sash is definitely on the Mienshao, so it's probably Quick Claw Ditto if I had to guess. They didn't even bring Calyrex. What a nice call on their end. I don't see an out then, because you always close combat the Incineroar slot in this position. Unless you're not Focus Sashed for some very bizarre reason. And there is a chance they're not Sashed, I guess. So, we'll see. Okay, yep. I also could have tried to protect Indy there, hoping for them to just basically choke. Or follow me and Flare Blitz, hoping for a burn. Smart decision to not bring Calyrex. Okay. Still think if they just copied Instant, they would have had it wrapped up earlier. I'm assuming you're stashed here. Yeah. What a close game. Okay. I can't really complain. Like, if Moltres just feints that double up, that first turn under Trick Room, the game's just immediately over from there, I think. But AV was really impressive here. I'm just thinking where else I could have optimized my play. I mean, if I opted to go for the double protect there, I still don't think it wins us the game. It's because the Mienshao had Sash. Yeah. Anyway, they just KO us here. GG, GG. So maybe it was just follow me Flare Blitz there and just hope for a burn, because then that actually gives us a slight chance of winning. But since we had seen Ditto, actually I think follow me Flare Blitz is always better, right? Because, like, Flare Blitz is going to bring Mienshao down to Sash anyway if you have it. So might as well just have the increased chance of potentially getting a burn to win the game, whether they're Sashed or not. So, yeah, AV Galarian Moltres was really impressive there. I think Galarian Moltres in general is just kind of a Pokemon that's being slept on still. Just because, yeah, especially with AV. AV is probably the best item on it, right? Like, previously in other formats, you'd see items like the Life Orb or Weakness Policy, but in a non-Dynamax format, AV makes so much more sense. And yeah, I mean, it literally took Palkia's Hydro Pump. Like, I did like 30% of damage to it. That's wild, considering how strong Palkia as a restricted is. So, yeah. Well played. Super, super close. Yeah, I mean, maybe I could have led stack. The decision for them to not bring Calyrex was really smart. If they actually had Calyrex in that endgame, we would win with Instant plus NDD. But that's probably why they were willing to copy the NDD rather than copy the Instant. Although still, if you copy Instant, I just don't see how I ever deal damage to the copied Instant or R. But yeah, really close game. Alright, next match here, and it's an Yveltal one. Snarl from Yveltal is definitely really scary. Although Galarian Moltres could capitalize off potentially getting a Defiant boost from that. So baiting a Snarl is actually kind of nice if we can get that. With Mienshao, I have to be very, very careful, just like that last game. They have their own stack attack. Gastro is really scary here as well. So I'm thinking Palkia, Rilla. Stack plus Moltres. I don't know what the best four are here. Indeedee is really awkward because they have Yveltal as well as potential wide guards from Mienshao and Stack Attacka. And they have Rillaboom. I almost feel forced to bring my Rillaboom because otherwise I get walled by that Gastrodon. Stack Attacka is one of our best offensive tools into their Yveltal. Yeah, I mean, this Yveltal reminds me a lot of the Galarian Moltres we just went up against, right? Like, even a Rock Slide plus a Hydro Pump, which is our strongest combo of attacks, wasn't able to KO Galarian Moltres. So, if it's AV Yveltal, we might run into the same issue. Really impressive bulk from that. Like, I'm amazed. That's so impressive. Especially because Rock Slide did so much. I was like, oh yeah, we're definitely good here, right? We were not good. Okay, they lead Mienshao plus Yveltal. I'm actually pretty okay with this, I think. It's a... you know what they do here, I think, is to fake out the Rillaboom and then Snarl. I mean, we could also just trade fake outs. Like, they fake out my Palkia, I fake out their Yveltal. I think I'm okay with that. And maybe they fake out Rilla and I get Trick Room up. That would actually be crazy good, right? Because then we can just, like, U-turn Spatial Rend the Mienshao next turn. Man, I'm still thinking about that last game. That was so close. But that's the thing, right? Like, one single Pokemon surviving, even with just 1 HP, can completely sway the outcome of the game. And that's exactly what happened. Oh, they switch Yveltal into their own Rillaboom. Okay, I don't mind that too much, I think. Mienshao's going for an attack here. Let's not fake out. It's just close combating immediately into my Rillaboom. I have to say, that is not how I expected turn 1 to play out, but I honestly think that's pretty good for us. Because I get Trick Room up. Yeah, you deal damage into Rillaboom. I wonder if they were reading... I mean, it's not even a read, right? Like, Close combat is just good guaranteed damage onto my Rillaboom, so that makes sense. Now you could fake out close combat. I don't really want to switch out. Rillaboom's not really that essential for us here. I don't mind splitting my damage. Spatial Rend into Mienshao. And U-turn into their Rillaboom. If they fake out close combat my Rillaboom, then I bring your Mienshao down to Focus Sash and I get a free switch into Stakataka. Then Stakataka can start getting boosts up or even get a substitute up. Probably lean towards sub more. Although I guess Rillaboom Grassy Glide can just break the sub. So yeah, not how I expected turn 1 to play out, but honestly not too bad. Okay, so they're going to opt for fake out here. Yep, onto the Rilla. It's probably fake out and close combat into that slot, but I'm honestly okay with that. We'll get Spatial Rend off. Gonna bring Mienshao down to Sash here. Yeah. Back-to-back Mienshao matchups, but these Mienshaos are annoying. Yeah, there's another CC. That's a crit. Ah. It's not been our day in terms of crits. Or not crits, just, yeah, I mean, game 1 we didn't even get crit. I don't know why I thought we did. It was just that damage roll. I don't know what the damage, like, you know, what the odds of us surviving there were, but yeah, it's obviously less than ideal. I gotta switch Palkia out now into Zapdos then, and I'm gonna U-turn and pivot out into Mienshao. Yeah, that's a really bad crit, because if you don't get that crit, I'm way healthier, and then I can survive a Grassy Glide. So, unfortunate, but that happens. And the problem is now, the fact that I'm switching while my own Trick Room is up feels really bad. They switched their Mienshao out into Yveltal. Okay. Well, now I get Stack in for free. Which is good, at least. Yep, there's just Glide onto Zapdos. That's fine with me. We U-turn out. It's honestly good damage onto Yveltal, too, so I'm happy about that. Now, the key thing here is, what is the item on all of these Pokemon? And what's their switching into Rock Slide? It is... Switching that they have would be their own Stakataka or Gastrodon. It's 2 turns of Trick Room left. Honestly, here I like close combat into Yveltal and Rock Slide. It covers for any switch. The only thing I'm nervous about is Yveltal just straight up protecting here. So we'll see if they have Protect. A lot of Yveltals are Assault Vests, but because they have Rillaboom on the team as well, there's a good chance Rilla has the AV instead. I haven't been able to confirm the item on that yet. Okay. Anyway, once again, we've had a really good string of games on Road to Ranked in terms of RNG. So, like, you know, being on the opposing end of a low... I don't even know if it was a low damage row in game 1. Okay, they switch Rilla out. Into Mienshao. That's perfect for getting a boost. Let's see if Yveltal protects. Oh, it's a double switch, but I'm actually okay with that. Because they bring in Stack Attack. Okay, perfect. So the close combat here should KO it. Okay, fortunately Rock Slide hits. Yeah, Mienshao dodging there would have been a disaster. So we get a double KO here. That's huge. And I get a Beast Boost. But the problem is that they probably have Foul Play on Stack. Good. And that's exactly why we had to, like, close combat just covers for that switch in, and it does the same amount of damage as Brave Bird, right? Into Yveltal. So might as well just cover for that switch. That puts us in a fantastic position, I think. We've got Rilla and Palkia in the back. Does Brave Bird one-shot Rillaboom? I would think so. So, like, if you're my opponent, you know, your best play here is to click Fake Out onto Stakataka. There's one more turn of Trick Room left. We have Fake Out from Rillaboom in the back. So they could Fake Out and Foul Play this. But I think here I'm fine just going for Brave Bird and Rock Slide, mainly because we have the numbers advantage right now. So even if you Fake Out Foul Play Stack, it's fine. And they actually Fake Out... Okay, so they're hoping for a miss with Rock Slide here. But we hit. We have an attack boost. Does that KO Yveltal? Beautiful. Nice. Okay. Alright, it was really scary after that crit, but we managed to kind of pin our opponent where they just had no safe switch-ins. And I'm guessing the Yveltal didn't have Protect and his Assault Vested. I'm still not 100% sure about it, but our Stack Attacker was just amazing in terms of offense in this one. Some fun games for sure. These were all really close. Okay. I mean, now we can obviously just Brave Bird and Gyro Ball. Yeah. Like, the key thing here was, like, just getting... They didn't have great Rock Slide switch-ins. That's why that close combat turn was so surprising for me to see. But in the end, like, yeah, Yveltal's really scary if Trick Room isn't up because they can just Snarl and, like, Oblivion Wing away. But if Trick Room is up, and you have Assault Vest, yeah, you just can't really do very much. So, the switch makes sense. I was just surprised to see Mienshao be willing to go for a close combat immediately, but it was helpful that they didn't just hard switch Stack Attack in. And the primary reason for that is probably because you don't want to just get hit by a Hydro Pump. So, we're up against a Kyogre team here. Obviously, that bodes really well for Palkia specifically, so that's good. Yeah, like, the matchup against Kyogre generally with this team is really good. But it doesn't mean it's an auto win, right? You still need to execute properly. We can drop Incin here. They do have Lando, Torn, and Rillaboom. I think we go Galarian Moltres here, probably. They don't have any Rock Resist. Like, Rock Slide spam with this is still tempting. I'm cool leading Palkia, I think. Palkia and Nidhi is fine. It's just what 2 of 3 between Stack Rillaboom and Zapdos I want. I think Rillaboom feels like a must bring just because it hard beats Kyogre. There's actually a pretty good chance they don't even bring Kyogre because of the Rillaboom. I think I'm going to opt for Galarian Moltres here over Stack. It's mainly for a couple of reasons. One, Stack Attack can miss Rock Slide, which is scary. And 2, they have 2 Intimidators in Landorus and Incineroar. So it's like if you don't bring either, your matchup is just pretty poor. Palkia does really well into Kyogre, Tornadus, Porygon, even Rillaboom to an extent. And if you bring one of Lando and Incin, I can put myself potentially in a position where Galarian Zapdos just sweeps completely. So that's what I'm thinking here. Alright, let's see. I still think about that first game. I'm just like wondering where I could have played better. And it's like, the best thing I can think of is leading better, like Stack and Nidhi. Okay, they go Lando plus Torn. That's a VGC 2011 lead. Or 2013. I mean, I'm fine with this, right? You don't really scare me with damage here. I think most likely they U-turn into Nidhi. Even if U-turn's fine, I think. Like, I'm definitely down to Trick Room here. Oh, you know what they could do is hard switch hard switch Lando out into Rillaboom and then taunt me. So I'm just going to go for the safe follow me because their Trick Room matchup is really bad. We just want to think about, like, the one way they could potentially deny us Trick Room here, and that's, like, a very specific play. They probably don't go for it, but if they try to get cheeky and actually try to go for it, they're in terrible shape. My expectation is just something like EQ plus an Air Slash or Hurricane or an Icy Wind from Torn. Or a U-turn. You could U-turn out into Rillaboom, so then you have Fake Out Pressure the subsequent turn. That also makes a lot of sense to me. There's the switch, though. Show me Rillaboom. Yep. Nice. That should put us in a phenomenal position, because the reality is now I can pivot out into Galarian Zapdos to potentially get a Defiant boost from that Landorus later on in this matchup. They did not taunt. They actually tried to Tailwind. That's surprising. Okay. That works for me. Now it's like we definitely outspeed with everything, so that's good. Fake out into Palkia here, pretty likely. I'm down to just Spatial Rend. And switch this out into Zapdos. Even if you like fake out Hurricane Palkia, it's fine. You'd have to hit a Hurricane and yeah. Like, the confusion chance is mainly what I'm nervous about. Yeah, I just, like... Now we outspeed with everything. We already were going to outspeed, but it even just ensures Zapdos outspeeds everything. And now, because they ended up bringing Landorus into this matchup, It is very awkward for my opponent to want to switch that back in at any point. This is exactly why I wanted to bring out Zapdos in this matchup. So, yeah, they go for the obvious fake out here. That's fine. Oh, and they actually taunt. Okay, that works for me. Cool. With that, I think it's fine to just Spatial Rend into Tornadus. Brave Bird into Rillaboom. I don't even think a Glide plus a Hurricane KOs Palkia. I guess it could be Life Orb Tornadus. We haven't seen the item on that yet. So in retrospect, I think doubling up onto Tornadus is actually better because Tornadus can pressure with the Flying type attack actually into Zapdos. And that's super effective. I don't think it KOs, but yeah. I don't love my play here. Okay, they do switch into Lando. So they're going to give me a Defiant boost. Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be so hard for them to deal damage in these first couple of turns. See if they protect Tornadus. I could also opt for Hydro Pump here. I don't think Spatial Rend gets the knockout. Yeah, that was really close. Hydro actually would have done it. But that's okay. Okay, we one-shot Lando. It's just a little frustrating because I feel like if I call that turn a little bit better, the game's just over immediately. They are going to hit the Hurricane. It is enough for KO. Okay, pretty impressive. But it's okay, because I can just go out into Rillaboom now, and I have the faster Fake Out. Like, Zapdos was so good in this matchup, and even just getting a knockout onto Lando for free is pretty good. It's just if I, you know, Spatial Rend does a little bit more there, if I click Hydro Pump or double up into Tornadus, or even just Brave Bird the Torn there, the game's probably just immediately over, but, like, we're still in a fantastic spot, right? Presumably their last Pokemon's Kyogre. We still have 2 turns of Trick Room to work with. I think here it's fine to just Spatial Rend Tornadus and Fake Out into their Rillaboom. Well, we haven't seen all of Tornadus' moves yet, right? We've seen Hurricane, Taunt, Tailwind. So normally it's Protect, Icy Wind as the 4th. If you don't have Protect here, I think you just insta-lose. Well, not necessarily, because if it's AV Rillaboom, then you bring in Kyogre, Protect Kyogre, and then maybe you can crit Glide / Woodhammer onto Palkia. But with Inity in the back for us, and just Rillaboom in general, especially with the potential U-turn this next turn, I really like our position. And they actually do not protect with Tornadus, which is really good for us. Cool. So, once again, like, when you have such a big team advantage in this, like this matchup, you know, I didn't have much reason to make advanced predictions with that Galarian Zapdos. I'm fine just playing that way because it just deals so much damage and we already have an early lead. Yeah, like, we probably could have just instantly won the game on a turn, but what we don't want to do in a game like that is, like, or a position like that is double up into something, like, carelessly, right? Okay, so Kyogre comes out. It's the last turn of Trick Room. I think it's fine to just Spatial Rend Rillaboom here and Woodhammer, but it's like... Yeah, I mean, their Rillaboom's never KO my Rillaboom here anyway. I think it's fine. They can't beat Palkia, because what we can do next turn, if Kyogre doesn't protect, game's over, right? If Kyogre protects, then we just pivot Rillaboom out into Indeedee, set up Psychic Terrain, and then Kyogre does no damage to Palkia, and then without the Grassy Terrain, the Rillaboom does nothing into us. So they go for the protect, but I don't mind going for Woodhammer there, because even if they crit, like, U-turn onto our Rillaboom, it's fine. Ooh, we actually get a crit there. Okay, well, that just guarantees us the game. Curious if they were going for a Woodhammer onto Palkia. Because if you Woodhammer there, I would guess U-turn onto our Rillaboom. If you Woodhammer there, you take so much recoil as well. I would think Spatial Rend plus Woodhammer does enough. I'm guessing they weren't AB there in the end, because I would think AB could actually take it. It was the last turn of Grassy Terrain too, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, now we can just Spatial Rend and Woodhammer again. I think they played this game well after turn 1 though. Like they basically did everything they could to keep themselves in it. But this was a game where we just had such a major advantage, honestly, in terms of the matchup that it didn't really make, like, it didn't really matter much. Look how little Thunder does. Yeah, Palkia's so bulky. So, like, Kyogre teams are the dream matchup when you're running this team. And even without Grassy Terrain, Woodhammer's a one-hit KO. Nice. That's the upside of Woodhammer. Helps against potential Serenas, you know, in matchups like that as well. So, yeah. This was definitely a pretty fast-paced 3 games, though, so we'll look for one last one. But it's definitely been a fun set. Yeah, that second game, you know, was really quite close. The first one, I'm thinking once again, is there a way I can cover for Zapdos plus Galarian Moltres as well as Calyrex plus Galarian Moltres? Because I feel like Stack plus Indeedee... I mean, it's not even like Palkia plus... It's not even like my lead was super good into Calyrex plus Galarian Moltres. And if I lead Stack, I at least, like, you know, can bluff with Wide Guard. Yeah, I'm not sure. AV Galarian Moltres, just not easy for us to go up into. It's Zacian with Como. Suicune is a really big issue here, especially because so many of these Zacians are sub. Como's not really that scary because we have Palkia, so that's good. They don't have Intimidate. Suicune is such an issue here, honestly. As well as sub on Zacian. I'm going Palkia, Rillaboom, Incin, probably Stack. And he does have Redirection, but I need more damage into Zacian here. Okay. Yeah, I don't think this matchup is going to be super easy. Mainly because Suicune can Snarl. And Palkia is just so weak after a single Snarl, unfortunately. And the other scary thing about the Zacian matchup is just having to rely on Hydro Pump and also not knowing whether or not they have Play Rough. Until, you know, a couple turns into, like, until they reveal that knowledge. So, yeah. And Play Rough is just getting so increasingly common, or is increased in popularity on Zacian. They're gonna go with Como and Rillaboom. Wow, that is not the lead I would have expected. Okay. I guess it works out for them here, though. Does it? The Como's just so bad into Palkia that, like, I don't mind. Almost all Comos are, like, Iron Defense Body Press stuff. Yeah, like, I think I'm down to just Trick Room here. Fake out into Como. Honestly, Como being on the field right now isn't really a problem for us, but they could substitute, which is my main concern. But if anything, I would switch this out into Zacian right now. I'm actually going to U-turn Rillaboom then for that reason. Okay, they do just stay in. Yeah, they fake out. So they're probably subbing? Oh, you're actually offensive, Como. Okay. Well, that changes things. That is very cool. You would think Glide into Palkia protect Como in this position. So I could go into Stack and U-turn out. I think this covers for, even if they don't, unless they body press Palkia, which would be a wild play. Because the play they have to cover for is me switching Rillaboom out into Incin, intimidating their Rillaboom and just one-shotting Como. Getting Stack out offensively here is pretty good, but yeah, like, almost all Comos are like Iron Defense Body Press sub-protect. That's the set I expect almost all the time. So them actually being offensive is really nice into Palkia here. So that's pretty cool to see. That is pretty good to see. We just want to conserve Palkia here, because after an Intimidate, like, we can survive against Rillaboom. See if Como protects here. They switch out. Okay, that's fine with me too. And they go into Zacian. Yeah, that's cool. Because the thing is, now I can U-turn out into Incin. A Glide here would be super good for us. Let's see if they went for it. They didn't Glide, so they're probably U-turning themselves, honestly. But that's still okay. Because we get great damage onto their Rillaboom. Like, the one play we could have considered in that position was doubling up onto Rillaboom with Spatial Ran and U-turn, but yeah, I don't love that, especially if, like, their Rillaboom switches out into Zacian. I know that's a pretty rare play to make, but if they do that, it's a complete disaster. Oh, they actually go for Woodhammer. Okay, great. I don't mind that at all. Okay. You would honestly think Zacian switches out right now. I kind of want to read that. So I want to substitute and Flare Blitz Rillaboom. Zacian is just in such a bad spot, right? You're facing two Pokemon that are really scary and you're intimidated. And Trick Room is up. So I'm kind of making a hard read here, but if I get sub... Oh, they switch Rillaboom out. Does Zacian protect? If not, that's a really good play by them. They didn't protect. Wow. Or switch. Oh, that's impressive. It's still okay, but obviously frustrating because the Flare Blitz and the Zacian there just puts us in such a good position. And they go for a substitute of their own. That's a wild play. Well done. That was really high risk, high reward. That's like the perfect example of a high risk, high reward play. I think so few players would actually make that play. So yeah, kudos to them, honestly. That was really cool. Now I can obviously double up on a Zacian with Gyro Ball Flare Blitz. There's still 2 turns of Trick Room. And I'm actually down to make that play. Because even if you protect here, at worst you deal some damage to Instant or you break my sub. So let's see if they go for it. Protect is obvious, but because there are 2 turns of Trick Room, I'm down to make this play anyway. Because we have a pretty good late game if Zacian like just doesn't get to play the game right now. That's a really impressive play though, honestly. Yeah, and they don't protect. Perfect. They might be bulky enough to survive Flare Blitz, which is my concern right now. Like, we've gotten enough chip. If I had like 5 to 10% more, I'd be confident on Flare Blitz KOing. But because they're sub, I think there's a pretty good chance they survive here. If they do, that's actually very scary. But we get the knockout. Beautiful. Yeah, like, I can't express how strong Incineroar is offensively into Zacian teams. So that's so good, right? We just got rid of their restricted for free. And they're going to Scald to break sub. Okay, great. Alright, that ends up working out fine, though, ultimately. But, yeah, that's just a really impressive sub the turn before. But you could see, like, why they didn't protect here. They're clearly playing a little bit more aggressive than your average player would play, right? This is exactly why I felt forced to bring Rillaboom. But this is still really scary, I think, because I don't have great answers into Como. We have one more turn of Trick Room left. Who do you bring out if you're my opponent? Your Rillaboom's at 50, so that would feint to a Gyro or a Flare Blitz. It's Como. Como presumably has Body Press, which is scary. Man, I'm really wondering how much, like, Gyro Ball... Oh, I think this works. We can just Gyro Ball and Parting Shot. Yeah, because then I can just get Instant back in for a Fake Out. Suicune's not going to have Protect here. Gyro's going to do a lot to Como. I don't think it KOs, though. Yeah. I wonder if Flare Blitz would... I was thinking really hard about doubling there, but, like, Como just resists our attacks there, so I didn't think it would work out. Okay, so now we can go into Rillaboom, so we have Fake Out pressure. So, the good thing in this matchup is that we had 2 Fake Out users and 2 Trick Room users. But Rillaboom is our best answer to Suicune damage-wise, so I'm nervous about it just taking way too much here. Oh, they actually Scald into Rilla. Okay. Oh, I risk a burn here. That's not good. That's not good. They have Focus Blast, and they miss. Well, there's 2 different 30% chances on the same turn. Wow. Obviously a lucky dodge there, but even if they hit, I just go into Palkia and then I just Fake Out Trick Room. I'd honestly rather not get burned and have Focus Blast hit. Grassy Terrain disappears, but that's okay. I think we should survive Scald. So yeah, I'm just going to Trick Room and Fake Out here. It's going to be a close finish. I'm not 100% sure we survive Scald, but Stack Attack is pretty bulky. I think we do. It's a really interesting Como set. Wow. I mean, you have the element of surprise with it, right? Oh, and they Ice Beam. Okay. really surprised they didn't at least like try to crit burn the stack there, but I'm... Oh, actually, they were at -1. Yeah, they were definitely not KOing there. So we were fine. Okay, great. I'm going to Gyro Ball now into this and just U-turn out. And the reason I want to U-turn is because I want to conserve my health. I don't want to Wood Hammer right now, and I'd rather, you know, get a big chunk of damage off onto Suicune with the Glider or Wood Hammer. Rather than, yeah, anything else. So this was a really interesting game. That Como set, really impressive. But yeah, I think if they hit that Focus Blast, we just bring Palkia out, and I would just fake out Como instead of Trick Room with Palkia. And we'd still be in a pretty good spot, I think. But now we're obviously in an even better spot because Stack Attacka is putting on so much offensive pressure. And the fact they don't switch out, I think, should ensure us the game more or less, barring a Scald Burn crit on Stack. Burn or crit. But even then, like, we're up 4-2, and the Suicune's already at -1, and we have an attack boost on the Stack Attacka. And now I can also pivot in my Incineroar for a faster fake out into their Rillaboom the subsequent turn. I mean, the key thing for us here was that they just didn't really get to use the Zacian, which was really critical. Like, we just denied it any damage, which is why getting Trick Room up was so important. And I think we had to go with these 4 Pokemon. I had some practice matches where I would, like, bring Indeedee into Zacian and Suicune and, like, just lose the game on turn 2 because they had sub. So, it is going to be Scald into Stack here. Yep, not enough for a KO. We actually have enough HP for a sub. They do get a burn, but that's okay. I mean, Suicune, it's just scary because it's going to heal from leftovers each turn. And I can't flinch it. Yeah, so obviously I don't love seeing the burn, but, like, I can't really complain. And, you know, that's one of the upsides of using Scald. You just have really good chances of burning. Now, I can't fake out into the Suicune. I mean, I can, but I won't flinch it because of Inner Focus. And honestly, if you're not... if Stack doesn't have Protect... Or, sorry, Rilla doesn't have Protect here, +1 Gyro Ball with the burn, and then the little fake out chip might still honestly be enough to KO Rillaboom. So, I'm down to just Gyro Ball and fake out into... Rillaboom. The Suicune is... Let me just double check. It's at -1, right? Because we parting shotted it. Yep. So this thing's not really that much of a factor, and Palkia will wall it in the late game. So even if Rillaboom has Protect here, that's fine, because I can just Flare Blitz it next turn. And yeah, they don't Protect. Cool. We get the flinch. And you know how I've been talking about accuracy, like when, you know, we first used Palkia yesterday? Like, 70% accuracy is an awful accuracy rate in VGC. It just feels so unreliable. And I have to say, I kind of learned that the hard way because, was it US Nationals? No, I didn't run Focus Blast. I had Stone Edge Mega Lucario that year. And even Stone Edge was just way too unreliable to depend on. The issue was I ran into... Like, it was used as a tech to just one-shot Charizard, Mega Charizard Y that year, and I think I went 0 for 3 on hitting it in, like, my Swiss matches. And in Best of 1, it's just, like, bad accuracy in VGC. It has such a high trade-off, especially when the Pokemon are relatively frail. So, yeah, we can just Rock Slide and Parting Shot now, and at this point, you yield no damage into Palkia. So, this is probably the best-case example of how you can play around Suicune, where, like, yeah, Suicune's annoying, but it doesn't deal much damage. And actually in this matchup, you know, it actually gets super effective into Instant Stack and Rilla. But the main thing is it's relatively passive. So he just stays on the field and maybe chips away and fishes for burns, but doesn't deal like a huge chunk of damage, right? And so we can leverage that towards our advantage. Okay. So we get Palkia out. They're just gonna Ice Beam. I guess, like, I shouldn't have switched in Palkia because I risk a freeze here. But no freeze. But to be honest, even with the Rillaboom being burnt, like a Grassy Glide, we're slowly chipping away at the Suicune. I don't think it has Protect. Well, we haven't seen his full moveset yet, right? But normally it's Scald, Ice Beam, Snarl, Tailwind. And some Suicunes are Assault Vest. This one's obviously lefties. But if you're AB, you drop, Tailwind, obviously, for a 4th attack. So, Spatial Rend. Yeah, I mean, even if you Snarl here, like... it doesn't do any damage, right? So you can keep decreasing my stats, but it doesn't matter when you don't have something next to you to deal, like, more damage to me right now. And with Zacian being removed as quickly as we did in this game, things were just easier to play up. You can see how bulky this Suicune is. I mean, it's taking all of these attacks so well. Ice Beam, 71 to 56, it did 15 damage. And I think we're healing back, what, like 12, 13 here? Even more, yeah. Oh, no, that was exactly 12, right? Was it 56, I said? Either way, yeah, Suicune is just gonna feign from a slow, inevitable series of attacks. Trick Room expires, but it's fine. At this point, I'd rather just not miss my attacks. Well, I guess Gyro Ball would never KO, so it's better to click Rock Slide, but yeah, that's fine. Anyway, that was a really fun set of games. You know, obviously we started off with a loss, but we were able to bounce back, which was nice. And yeah, honestly, that first matchup, like, I ran into a set I really didn't expect. And maybe Galarian Moltres isn't even that surprising. I just didn't expect it to tank the 2 attacks that I launched onto it that way, that turn. So, yeah. I don't know, maybe I could have subbed with Stack Spatial Rend to Zapdos. Or just Rock Slide Spatial Rend to Zapdos. But I don't really regret that turn because, like, had we just KO'd the Moltres that turn, I really think we just win the game from that position. Although I guess they could bring Ditto to copy the stack. Yeah, things would still get kind of awkward. So no, it's not like a guaranteed win, but we'd be in a really good position. And I misplayed the end of game 1. I should have just gone Follow Me Flare Blitz, because there's like no chance that the Mienshao wasn't Focus Sashed. But I don't know, I was thinking like, it didn't make very much sense. Because you're always, actually, unless they have knockoff, if they have knockoff and they're not Focus Sashed, then it actually makes sense to Expanding Force rather than Follow Me, because then Flare Blitz would not KO the Mienshao, and then like knockoff would KO NDD, and then Close Combat would KO the Instant. So yeah, but that makes me really want to play AV Galarian Moltres. I don't think we've tried it out yet, this format. So yeah. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one. So thanks so much as always for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Don't forget to answer the question of the day, and I'll see you all soon. All right, peace.